Hello and welcome, everyone. Hello. Hey, welcome, everyone, to the artist interview series. And today we have the great, awesome Randall Smith. Randall, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I got some coffee. It's probably not good to be drinking coffee so late at night. Well, it's not even late, but like I know it's gonna extend past this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Randall, I already know this might happen. I might mix up Randy with Randall. Does that
Okay.
happen often?
Yeah. I mean, like I've been called both. My family calls me Randy, so I'm not going to be offended.
All right.
Yeah, I'll give you a few. If you give me,
You're gonna put like a couple, like you're gonna pull out a pen and paper.
I got a
and
Sharpie around here. I'll just make tick marks.
Oh yeah, tick marks. If once you get 5, you might just leave the stream. Yeah.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah. Randall, how do you normally start your day?
Oh man, with a Red Bull.
A Red Bull.
Yeah. I have to caffeinate pretty hard, it seems, especially lately. And then it just depends on what I have going on. Like I don't have a schedule.
Yeah.
It's something I'm going to work on. I definitely need to create a schedule.
You do? You do? You need to create a schedule?
It's been floating around in my head to like actually write down the 24 hours of the day.
Yeah.
And figure out what to do in all of them so I can be more productive.
Okay. Especially as an artist, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So like
there's things where like if I have the time, I'll paint for like 12 hours.
Oh wow.
Or maybe I'll do nothing.
So
I
like
get
how
headaches and migraines. So if I wake up with a headache or I get a migraine, that whole day is shot. So
you get headaches and migraines often?
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. I've been getting migraines since I was like 12 years old.
Oh wow.
So good.
What was like the first one, like when you experienced that?
I mean, the first one I don't really remember, but the last one I had for like 3 days.
You have a migraine that lasts for 3 days.
It's not like a consistent 3 days, but like the effects kind of linger on, and then the pain comes back really bad, the nausea and all that. Yeah, it just kind of, it's like a roller coaster where it's just like the ups and downs of it for 3 days.
So describe your migraines, because I've been having a few every once in a while, and I believe they're like, for me they're stress induced, but like what are yours like?
Yeah, mine can be stress induced. It can be, I know I've identified some migraine triggers. Raw is a big one. Lack of sleep, not eating. I'll feel like a weird, like a throbbing pain, usually behind my eye.
Oh yeah.
Starts dull and then gets like really, really severe, almost like what I assume like a knife would feel like in my eyeball.
Yeah.
And then a lot of nausea, sensitivity to sound, light, get really hot. I yawn a lot, which I noticed. And it's just, I mean, like the worst pain that I've experienced in a while. And it just doesn't go away until it usually gets to a point where I'm so nauseous that I start vomiting, and then the pain starts to die down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty rough. I do have prescription meds for it that make me go numb from the top of my head to like the middle of my chest.
Oh wow.
And then it kills the migraine, but then when I usually like, I feel, it makes me fall asleep, but it's not. I assume it's what a coma might feel like, where it's like, I don't wake up rested.
Yeah.
Like, I think like my body shuts down and I fall asleep. But then like my large muscles in like my upper body and my bones are like really stiff and sore.
Oh wow.
So the side effects aren't much better than the migraine. I mean, it is, but it's pretty rough.
So you almost have to like
completely shut.
Well, yeah, you're shut down for you're incapacitated for an extended period of time, and your like your art schedule is almost beholden to that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. Because if I have a day where I could paint all day long, and a migraine does come up, and say I'm out of migraine meds, or even if I have the migraine meds, it's still gonna screw up my day. If I don't have them, I'm out for the whole day. If I don't have them, it's just whether or not I feel like well enough physically to continue painting or to start painting.
Yeah.
So it's challenging. Definitely challenging.
So you're still looking for that secret art homeostasis, and that's something you've been working on for a while, or is this like just something that occurred this morning? Like, I need an art schedule. This is not working.
It's been something that's been floating around my brain of creating a schedule. But I don't know, my life is just weird right now. It's a weird time. And right now I'm making art whenever I can. I wasn't planning on becoming a full-time artist again, and I wouldn't say that I am right now, but my arts, I've spent a lot of time in my life trying not to be an artist, but I keep coming back to it. It's eventually what I want to do, but it's tough.
Why have you tried your darndest to not be an artist? What's the object there? Like, what's the goal?
Financial freedom, I guess. I don't know. It's been like, for me at least, my art journey has been like a constant hustle. Yeah. So I did work for 10 years as a full-time artist, and I sold art.
You worked for 10 years? Wow.
But I did. I sold art anywhere I could, as much as I could, to whoever I could. Making murals, doing paintings, setting up on the street one day, setting up at like a convention the next day, and then the street again, and then like under a tent, just wherever. And it's not really something like that life. I don't know that I want to get back to.
Yeah, the that type of art sales it's got to have the shelf life,
Yeah, it's not, and I sold a lot of art, but when you're selling art on the street, you kind of have to put your prices at a price point where people are going to buy it from a guy.
Yeah.
So it didn't always lead to like, I'd sell a ton of paintings, but I'm not putting money in my savings account.
Yeah, you're.
Let's go to the day to day. It's in the pocket, then it's paying the bills.
Yeah.
So I want to find something that's like a creative career where I can do the art more on the side, and then try to build up the art to a point where it takes over what I would make at the job for maybe 2 straight years, and then feel comfortable that I can let the job go. That's what I'm trying to get to now. I'm trying to be a little bit smarter about it instead of being like, just dive right into the romantic idea of being an artist. The struggle is part of the deal, where it's just like, that seems to more take its toll than it seems to bring like some value.
Yeah. So what are you doing now while you're working on your art on the side?
I'm delivering pizza.
Awesome.
No, it's
awesome.
not.
It's not?
So I moved from Asheville, North Carolina to Orlando in February.
Why'd you move?
Just Asheville wasn't really working out. I grew up in Orlando. I lived here for since I think I was 11 or 12 when we moved here. So it was 1989. And then in 2017, it was just like, if I don't get out of Orlando, I'm going to die here and not really see anything new. So I moved. And it didn't really work out. Asheville was cool in a way. It's a fun place. It's a great place to visit. I recommend everyone go visit, but living there is tough.
Why is it tough?
There's not a lot of there's no industry. The industry is beer, and which is cool. I mean, but I was never a bartender. I was never a server. It's not something I want to do. So if you're in the what do they call that? What industry is that? Hospitality industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, or work at the hospital. There isn't really a ton else there. They claim it's like an artsy town, but it's like an artsy tourist town where, because I did have an art studio in the River Arts District in Asheville. And that was cool for a while, but it was very seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just hit or miss. It's like it's like any other art thing. So yeah, February I moved back to Orlando, and here we are in the dumpster fire that is 2020. And yeah, it's like all I could find for work right now.
I understand. I have a job on the side on the weekend where I work at a bar, so I understand completely about hustling and bustling so that you can make your own art.
Yeah. But it was a lot easier when you could go outside to an art walk. Now there are no art walks. People don't go outside.
Well, you got a virtual art walk happening right behind you.
Yeah, I've also done the live. I've done a couple lives, and I did one a couple of weeks ago. I did my first where I did a live art show, and then I did a few where I'll just like pop on there and be like, "Hey, this painting is." If you buy it by the end of the week, it's half price, and those have worked.
What's that like? Doing an art show live? I haven't done one. I don't think I have the space. Like I don't have walls to hang anything. I have walls, but I don't have. Well, I don't have the space. I'm just making excuses.
It's really no different than doing this.
Yeah.
Except with this, you actually have someone you're talking to.
Yeah.
And, it's a little bit more back and forth where I can see you and I can talk directly to you, and it makes it a little bit easier. But I don't know. To me, I just imagine there's someone on the other end.
Yeah.
People.
Do you do you have a glass of wine? Do you wear a nice suit? You should wear a nice suit.
Just the Star Wars shirt and
Star Wars shirts. Yes, I was gonna wear one to this. I was looking for my shirt, my art shirt, and then I was like, I saw a Boba Fett shirt. And I was like, nah. I should have wore a Star Wars shirt. We had something to talk about.
I don't even think my art is like requires me to wear a suit. Like, I'll paint robots. I did an art show in Asheville, and when I did the opening of my art studio, I went to the grocery store and just bought a ton of Little Debbies. And like dumped them into this giant bowl, and that was like the snacks for the show. It's like, grab a Little Debbie, check out some art.
How'd it go? How'd the Little Debbies go?
I mean, it was actually like a pretty good hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought way too many, but
how many did you have to eat afterwards?
I mean, there was a couple boxes. My younger brother lives in Asheville, so I gave him a couple boxes to take home. We actually flew down here. Because Halloween was the 31st. My 40th birthday was the 2nd of the year. Was that it was 2018, and we forgot to buy Halloween candy, and my brother was giving away Little Debbies to the trick-or-treaters.
Yeah. What kind of Little Debbies were they?
Like the Swiss cake rolls.
Oh, the Swiss cake rolls?
The oatmeal ones, oatmeal cream pies.
Do you like oatmeal cream pies?
Yeah, I do. They're really good.
They're like a hidden guilty pleasure of mine. Do you have something like that?
You put them in the freezer are really good.
You put them in the freezer?
Yeah.
What would that do?
It just hardens them up. I don't know, and like the froth
like
in the middle is a little bit like kind of ice cream, frozen yogurt consistency. It's good.
You're giving me too many ideas. I'm gonna have to after this, I'm gonna go downstairs and throw a box in the refrigerator. That's pretty interesting idea. So how'd that show go? Aside from people eating massive quantities of Swiss rolls and Little Debbies.
Yeah, I sold some stuff. I don't really remember the numbers. It was a few years ago, but I mean, I did have sales.
Yeah. Did your jaw drop?
No.
Have you ever had one of those days where you did so well that your jaw dropped?
Yeah, I have a couple times. Actually, I had art in a cider brewery. I call it a cidery in Asheville, and I did. I contacted everyone who had bought art from me in Asheville because I had a room in there where it's just full of my art, and I had art there probably pretty much the entire time I lived there, and I would sell a lot of art. So I contacted everyone. I was like, "Hey, I'm moving back to Orlando, but I'm going to do one last show at the brewery," and that was a jaw-dropping number of sales, like hours.
Like what?
Like I'm not like $1,000 in 2 hours.
Yeah, that's good.
And a lot of it was just like, make me an offer on it. And I kind of expected like to get super lowballed, and I didn't.
Yeah. So like moving sale.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
So to then have like that good number of I sold this amount of stuff and I don't have to move it, and I made more money than I anticipated was unexpected.
Did you get their information?
Oh yeah, I have their information.
Good. Do you send them random funny quotes or tweets every once in a while? No.
I don't.
Why not?
I don't know. No, I never thought about
it. Randall, so tell me, why robots and farting unicorns?
Well, why not farting unicorns?
Touche. But go ahead. Talk about your farting unicorns.
Well, first, why robots? There's no real reason. The first thing I painted was a robot.
Okay.
This was like 2006, 2007. I drawing my whole life, all that stuff, and I wanted to learn how to paint, so I bought some paints. And I bought a canvas at Goodwill. I painted it black, and I'm like, I'm just gonna paint on it because it had something on it, like someone painted something else. And I painted a robot, and then I painted some more robots, and then people started liking them, and then I was the robot guy. And so if like people didn't know who I was personally, and they knew my art, then I was like, man, I hate this. I want to be the robot guy, So I stopped painting them, and I would set up at shows, and people would be like, when are you going to do more robots? And they're like, no one's really buying the stuff I'm making, and they're asking for more robots. So I kind of just accepted it. And then it was more about putting emotion into the robot, making him do things that robots don't do, or make him like a sympathetic character, or like maybe like a reflection on somebody. And that's why there's a lot of things where like the robot's missing the heart.
Oh yeah?
He's always like chasing his heart and following his dreams, that sort of thing. That's kind of the running theme. So it's like a robot who's like looking for love or doing some sort of adventure. Like if I can lift this up a little bit more, you see like the robot is flying an airplane and there's his heart. But if you look under the scarf, his heart's missing on his actual body.
Oh, so a little bit of symbolism there, eh?
So
and
the big hot air balloon is the heart. So it's a lot of that where it's just like there's the symbolism of like following your heart or chasing your dream, and it's a robot who is, I guess, the character in it, the guy who's taking the journey, who's supposed to be either me or you or who knows.
Are you searching for love?
I don't know if like love from another person is really the love, but like I think it's more of like, for me, it's the love of what I'm doing.
Okay.
And it's not really like, it's not that deep.
Okay.
Like you're asking like the unicorn, like there's no symbolism. The unicorn's just farting a rainbow and a robot eating cotton candy. I mean that like I started naming my paintings like the top one I showed is the one with the plane is literally the name of the painting.
What's the name again?
The one with the plane.
Okay.
And this is the one with the hot air balloon.
Okay.
And then it's backwards. This is the one with the man in the moon.
Okay.
I mean, it is what it is.
Is the robot is that the robot's name is the one?
No, that's a good thought though. Oh.
Is like so? I was wondering.
Doesn't really have a name. I call them Junkbots.
Junkbots.
And then like this is version 2.0 of the Junkbot.
Okay.
I thought about maybe I'll do something on social media. Someone can come up with a good name for him that I like, and I'm like, yeah, that's his name. And I might give them a painting, but I haven't really thought of I haven't done it yet, and I don't know if I want to name him.
I
don't know. The one is interesting.
Well, I mean, you are titling it the one with the airplane, the one in the air balloon, and one in the man in the moon, or the person on the moon.
Yeah, but the one is the painting. Is what at least.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
how makes it easier when someone says, "So the painting, the one with the hot air balloon?" I'm like, "Yeah," because that's.
Yeah, I know that one. Do you still have it? Yeah, it's right here.
Have like this big. I know some people come up with these crazy names and maybe their paintings are very deep, and that's their feeling when they're painting it. They come across in the name, but.
What are your thoughts on that, like that ultra deep symbolism in artwork, like this way above my IQ grade, IQ range, intellectual art, right? What's your thoughts on that?
I hate it. Not against anybody else. Like I judge everything, but I don't do it in like a way to be like a jerk. But in just art, I don't like it all. And I don't know. I think it's like a way to make it just in my feeling. Like if I were to start making saying that the painting with the robot and the unicorn farting meant some deep symbolized meaning of the media and all this, and it's just nonsense. Kind of makes me sound like a dick. I had a painting where these sunflowers, because when I first started painting, a lot of my stuff was super angry, and they were like zombie sunflowers. And
zombie sunflowers.
This man was we were at an outside art walk. He gave me $100 to hold it, and he was going to call me the next day. We exchanged information, and he just went on about how it's the symbolism of the media and how
oh wow,
media looks at us and we look at the media, and this is. I'm just like, okay. I mean, if that's how you feel, fine. But literally, it was just zombie sunflowers. There was absolutely no meaning behind it other than that. I thought it was fun. I thought that's what I wanted to paint at the time, and he had this crazy idea of what the painting meant to him. So I kind of feel like it's more up to the viewer to decide what the crazy meaning is. Like if you see my robot sitting on the moon and the moon has an eyeball and a smile, and that means way more to it to you, then that's what I want. I don't want me to be the one to tell you what my painting means.
Randall, I might be fact checked on this, but it is my understanding that the moon is made out of cheese.
I mean, it might be. People have been there, so
they brought it back, and they're like, "This is not good. This is bad cheese." So you don't like that super metaphorical symbolic art, or the people that attach the imagery.
And then when you watch a movie or a TV show, and there's a character who's supposed to play that exact artist type, and it's just that's even worse.
Oh yeah, the art type.
I'll have a fantastic loft. It's you have the greatest apartment in the world, and they're selling paintings. And I'm like, man, if that were true.
And they dress real nice. They're always they dress really nice, but they're just edgy enough that they're on the fringe. But they're they might have, I don't know, they have a frilly scarf or something, I don't know, or they have a little bit of flair or something, and then all of a sudden oh yes, he's an artist, so he can do that. Like, well, not a lot of artists dress, like that. We're just gonna dress with a t-shirt and pants.
Yeah.
Well, at least I do. That's.
I want the artist in the TV show to be like, well, due to things in the world, and I kind of moved a few times, and I stopped doing some art, and I'm staying in my parents' guest room. And then,
yeah, you need that average looking person just as an artist.
Yeah.
And they have to be, but the thing is, they got to add that stuff to make them believable, I guess, right?
Yeah, I don't know. But they always have a killer loft. It's like this killer $1 million loft that I guess, I don't know, maybe they have a rich benefactor or something.
They're all super wealthy and doing really well. So what movie have you seen that has that type of artist persona or show?
Like New Girl. I don't know if you watched that, but that had one.
It's just right.
Yeah,
is that?
But the artist guy had a micro penis, so I guess that.
Oh, yeah. Was he a photographer or painter?
He was a painter. He was a
yeah. I forgot that episode.
He was a street artist.
and Jess was like, he's like, I'm sure you're just being self-conscious, and
right.
He drops his trousers, and she's like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. What's that?
That's the one that comes to mind.
Okay.
That's the lady who painted the painting of Kramer. She had a nice loft, but she had benefactors who were there because they bought the Kramer. Yeah.
What do you think of that painting?
Oh, I love it. I think it's awesome. But I love that show. It's like one of my all-time favorite shows. So.
Do you have the DVDs or Blu-rays or?
I have DVDs, but I think I gave all my DVDs to Goodwill.
Okay. Do you have any memorabilia
of Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Not that I can think of.
Not?
No. They need to make Seinfeld pop figures, and I probably would.
What's that? Pop figures?
Yeah, those. You ever see those Funko Pop figures, or like the plastic bobblehead looking guys?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with those. Do you have any of those?
No, I have probably 200-300.
What? You have 200 or 300? What was it? Funko or Funko?
Yeah, Funko. Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot. I probably don't have 300, but I have a lot. I had like an art studio and like a downstairs basement in Nashville. Like,
yeah.
The more space you have, the more you fill it up with crap. So,
so you had
space and I filled it up with crap.
So was it like a what would you call it? Like a comic nerd or gamer nerd or a what's the name? There's the names for these individuals that collect these stuff, right? Like the comic. Yeah, I don't know. What's the name? Do you have any names for that? Like without being like.
Nerd implies you're good at math.
Huh?
I prefer geek because nerd, I think, to me implies you're good at math.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So geek.
Yeah. A geek cave type deal,
A geek cave? You had a geek cave?
Yeah.
So you had 200 Funko dolls just kind of wrapping around, or were they like on shelves or something?
Yeah, they're on shelves, and yeah, I built some shelves and put them on the TV thing, and they just started multiplying.
They were propagating. They were replicating.
I mean, by me going to Target buying more. But they make them for everything. So it's like if you're into Star Trek or Star Wars or The Office, whatever you're into, they make them. So it's hard to like walk into Target and you're like, oh my God, there's the Mandalorian, and then Baby Yoda, and there's Baby Yoda with the cup, and Baby Yoda eating a frog, and they just keep making more.
Do you have those Baby Yodas?
No comment.
No comment.
I don't have a ton of Baby Yodas. I think I have 2.
What other cool like memorabilia do you have? I'm like slurring memorabilia. Oh, that's I get so much I get a lot of schlack from other people because of my.
But I have a hard time saying walk. So a couple like if you rewind the podcast after you listen to it, I probably like said arch walk.
Art walk.
Art walk.
So do you have any other?
Some words I still struggle with from my, being born in Boston. That I noticed that if I talk really fast, sometimes my words start to drop them. Yeah.
You were born in Boston?
Yeah.
How long did you live there, or did you live in Orlando?
I lived in Boston for I would say 11 years or so.
What was that like growing up there?
From what I really remember, it was cool. Mostly my memories are growing up in, because I think that's more like where I grew as a person. So most of my memories growing up are in Orlando.
Orlando?
Yeah.
So so from 11 till your what's it called? Like, is it called like formative years when you're like forming?
That makes sense.
Probably.
Most of my memories from Boston are holidays.
Holidays?
Stuff like that.
Do you have any cool Christmas Boston memories?
So when I was a kid, I really, really liked eggnog.
Oh yeah?
So I would go around to any adult who would drink eggnog, and my parents are both the oldest, so usually, and they were the first to have kids, so we were the first grandkids. So Christmas was at my house.
Mm-hmm.
So members from my mom's family and my dad's family would come to my parents' house. And so I had a lot of aunts and uncles. So I would go to a different aunt or uncle each time. So no one would tell me I've already had too much eggnog.
Mm-hmm.
So then it would get to the point where I had too much eggnog and I'd throw up. And then Christmas was over, and mostly my dad's family would leave. They were out. They're not staying around. It's time to go. Every Christmas ended after I had consumed entirely too much eggnog and threw up.
It's time to go. Hun, it's time to go. Excuse me, Randall's had too much eggnog.
Yeah, it's time to go. We're leaving.
I've been thinking about eggnog since the holidays. Do you still drink eggnog now to this day, or was it like just a kid thing?
Not in mass quantities. I mean, I think as an adult, you know what it is. It's just like straight up fattening eggnog, and it's nice to have some every now and again. Maybe put a little alcohol in it. But I'm not gonna drink it until I puke.
Are you sure?
Those days are gone.
Those days are gone.
Oh, maybe I'll bring it back this year.
I'm gonna recreate my 10th year. What was it like? When I was 10 years old, I'm gonna recreate the scene where
I'm an eggnog every 2020.
Oh man, that's funny. That's pretty cool. About the eggnog. That's nice. I've been thinking about getting some eggnog this holiday. I every time the holidays come, I was like, you know what? I don't eat it. I don't drink eggnog that much. But I'm sure you could eat it if you let it, kind of stand.
With cake rolls and with cake rolls and frozen eggnog. Has your daughter had that before?
No. I keep forgetting to buy it. I am not gonna do that. I've already have enough problems as with the daughter making messes. I don't need eggnog messes at the moment. So, Randall.
Yeah.
Let's dial back
to
your theoretical schedule that you're planning on doing. What are you planning on doing with your art schedule?
Well, I feel like I can block out the time I'm sleeping.
Okay.
Block out the times that I know that I will be at work. and then figure out the time in between that I'm being more productive, so that I know it's almost like holding yourself accountable. So I know that I can do more painting, more marketing, and like some of the things that are floating around in my head that like I should be doing that I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's when it's down on paper and I can look at it every day and I don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
When I wake up and it's like, well, I'm a little groggy, I'll drink some Red Bull, I'll check my email, I'll watch, something on Netflix or Hulu, and then there goes 2 hours and I haven't really done anything that day.
Yeah, don't do the Netflix and Hulu thing.
Yeah, it's easy to fall into that, but I think it's more for days where, like right now, I don't have a painting I'm currently working on, so I'm doing some sketches for it. So it's really easy to like procrastinate and then not really accomplish anything. When it's there on the table and the canvas is in some either some form of like either sketches on there or paints on there, it's a lot easier to wake up and see it and start painting. But when the time where I'm in now, where there's nothing really pressing or there's nothing like definitive in my head that I know I want to paint, it's really easy to just procrastinate, not really. Then a week goes by and it's like, what did I do this week?
Yeah. That's one of the crux of like being an artist is like, I struggle with procrastination.
Yeah.
Do you have experience with other artists who experience the same thing? Like, they have that type of, I've heard a lot of artists have that, like the proclivity, they're like, they lean towards like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to. Right.
I don't know. I feel like since I moved from Asheville, when I moved to Asheville and then moving away from Asheville, like where I am now, it's like I'm not in contact with a lot of other artists to really, bounce that stuff off of. When you're working in like where I was working in Asheville was in an art store, so that the people who worked there were artists, all the people who shopped there were artists, so it was a little bit easier to kind of be in that environment. And then when I was always on the street or always out with other artists selling, you have those artist friends who are kind of in the trenches with you, and it's easier to bounce that stuff off where you're kind of sharing your experiences. Now it's like all done on, like right now you'd have to do it either like through Facebook or it's just not the same. I don't know.
So you worked at an art store in Nashville?
Asheville.
Yeah. I was
go to Tennessee. I wouldn't live there. No. It'd be hilarious if you live in Tennessee.
No, I do not.
I thought I offended you. Well, no. That breath, I thought I offended you.
No.
It has nothing to do with Tennessee. I've been like, I'm just a diehard Jacksonville Jaguars fan, and the Tennessee Titans are our biggest rival, so therefore I hate Tennessee. So shout out to all you people in Tennessee.
So why are you a fan of the Jaguars?
Weirdly, because my grandparents on my mom's side moved to a town called Palatka, Florida, which is near-ish to Jacksonville. And it was around the time, like 94, 95, when the Jaguars, they announced the franchise. So every Christmas, we were given like a Jacksonville Jaguars sweatshirt or Jacksonville Jaguars shirt, and that's where it came from.
Okay, that's very cool.
So I've been a fan of the Jaguars since day one. I've seen a lot of losing football.
Are they any good? Are they not that good?
No.
They're not good at all?
No.
Have they been
good like 4 seasons out of 25 or 26, whatever we're on now?
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah,
do you have do they have a good quarterback or a decent quarterback, or just like they don't have anything? Do they even have a quarterback?
I would say he's decent. He's in his second season, so it's really hard to say that. If he was, I think he's done better than he was ever either thought or expected to do. But he's still like he's only in his second season, so I think it's a little early to be like he's the guy, So
So, where were we? We were talking about Asheville.
No, we were all over the place. Oh yeah, I worked at an art store in Asheville.
Yes, art store. What's that like? What was that like?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I did pretty much all the signage in the store. So I spent a lot of time taking art supplies off the shelf and using them to make signage, and it was a lot of fun. It was a cool place to work. I learned so much about supplies and like even like the process of painting and different paints. It's just at first it's like there's so much, it's a little overwhelming, but I learned so much about art that that was probably the best, I would say one of the best things about working at art store was just the education I got.
Like passively acquiring education.
Yeah, or like just having the ability to try a different paint. Instead of like sticking with paints I used to use, try something new.
Would they give it to you for free just so you can so you could give advice to potential buyers?
Sometimes the vendors would give us some stuff so that we could be like, yeah, this is something that we've used and we know about, but there was a pretty decent discount that we're not supposed to talk about that definitely made it worth it to buy new stuff.
And when you were doing the signage, was that like an entire day type of thing, or you do like one sign, two signs, three signs?
I would usually do sections at a time. So like when I started working there, it was funny because the manager knew who I was and was following me on Instagram from my art. And so I went for the interview and got called back the next day, and they're like, yeah, we want to offer you the job. So it was really quick. And that was one of the things that she wanted me to do, was to be the sign artist, which was great because I did that. I used to work at Publix Supermarkets, which is in Florida, and now they're all over like the whole South. Was like, they're like one of the biggest grocery stores. And I was a sign artist at Publix for 10 stores.
10 stores? 10
stores, yeah. So I would go to a store, do all their signage, then travel to the next store, do all the signage, and just do it on like a rotation. So they knew I had a background in signage, so that was something she was like, I want you to redo all our signage here. So I would pick like a section, like say the easels needed, and I would spend, maybe the entire day working on, like I would have to stop every now and again and help somebody, but yeah, I could spend 8 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 5 hours, whatever it was, just making signage in the store.
How often did you update the signage?
Well, it just depended, because like I would go to, like say like the easels, I did all the signage for that, and then I moved to let's say like panels. So like instead of where you're painting on a canvas that's wrapped around a piece of cardboard.
Yeah, wood panels.
Yeah. So I would do that section, and then do like maybe the watercolor needed a sign. So then that's a one-shot, one-off sign. So it would just depend. Like I just went around doing the store, but then if there was a sale, I needed a sale sign. So then I would stop whatever I was doing and work on the sale sign. Or we had something new in, so that needs a sign.
Yeah.
Or then Christmas was coming around, so I did a bunch of Christmas signs. So there was always, like, even if I finished the entire store with new signage, there was always things that popped up.
Yeah, yeah.
And then maybe something else that, like, maybe the charcoal sign was good, but it wasn't great. So, like, eventually, if I had a chance, I'm like, well, I want to redo the charcoal sign. But then also you see that, I'm the sign artist. So, like, the last person who worked there didn't work there anymore, did some signage. I want to replace all her stuff because I'm the sign artist now. So there was always plenty of stuff to do.
So you also did that at Publix?
Yeah.
And you rotated around 10 stores?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was cool. I mean, it was a thing where, Publix would do big displays. So I had a lot of creative freedom, a lot of I wanted to learn how to airbrush, so I told him I needed to buy an airbrush machine and what do you call it? Is it a generator? No, a compressor. Yeah. I need a compressor. Yeah. So like, hand me money. It's like Publix has, a way bigger budget, so I could make like giant Halloween displays, giant Christmas displays, and airbrush them. That was a lot of fun.
So, why'd you leave Publix?
Well, the thing with being the sign artist is if the budget needs to come down, you're the first guy to be like, yeah, you need to find something else to do for, they say 10 hours a week. So now you're the sign artist 30 hours a week.
Uh-huh.
And then you're the sign artist 20 hours a week. Then we can print these on the computer and not do big, huge signage. And now...
Yeah. So that's what happened. It became more computerized.
Yeah. And like, a district manager of the district, they would change too. So when the district manager who wanted me to be the sign artist for her district, when corporate switched the district managers around, and now you have a district manager who maybe he doesn't want a district sign artist. So there's things that pop up too.
So that it was just unsteady work, or is it because they just like you were let go because of certain things?
It wasn't really I was let go. It was just more like I said that instead of it being a 40-hour a week job, it went down to a 30-hour week to 20-hour a week to like, maybe having a sign artist for the district isn't really what we need.
So it was downsized.
Go work at produce.
Oh yeah, so like they're like, you want to stock shelves now?
Yeah, they just moved your job. Removed mine. It was like, yeah, you were the sign artist, but if you want to stay, you now work in produce.
That sign painting's making a big comeback.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was like in the, when I was doing it in the early 2000s, late 1990s, it was still a thing. But then like computers got more accessible and Photoshop and all that, and then not even like you could just do MS Paint or something cheap. That program came that someone could just literally just type it in, like print it in no time and not really care about what the signage looked like. I think, like you're saying, that handwritten signage and stuff like that's really coming back.
Yeah, I know a few artists that are doing really well. Well, I don't know them personally. I like acquaintances, I guess, who are just making. I don't know about bank, but they're making a good living just traveling around and doing like sign paintings for like tattoo parlors or painting murals, not necessarily murals, but like a wall at a bar, a wall at a restaurant, or a wall at a brewery. They're doing really well doing that. So that's something that you could consider doing, as like just a type of thing, because especially how much experience you have with that. And what happened to the art store? Like what went on with that?
Oh, I just decided that it was time to move back to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
So I just put in my notice.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really. What should I say? How do I say this? It was a great job for a lot of different reasons, but not the best. It's not a career.
You weren't making your $100K a year dental and benefits.
Yeah.
You weren't driving that Corvette, making it rain.
Right. Yeah.
Can you make it rain with me?
I didn't have the. I didn't have the big loft, so I was like, no, this isn't the artist life I was promised from television.
you're like whatever your boss's name. What was your boss's name? Whatever. Like, Bob, listen. You see the artist in The New Girl? Well, yeah. Whatever. I want to have that loft, and I want it now. So give me a raise. I want $100K.
I just wanted the loft. The rest of it.
I don't. I'll work for free. Just give me the loft, and I'll figure out another way to pay for food.
Yeah. Once you have a loft, the rest is easy.
Yeah, the artist loft is like I think the artist loft is where you need is what you need. It's one component that all artists needs. Like they need it. It's like the number 1 out of 10. You need number 1 artist loft, and then as you're saying, like everything just falls into place, right?
I mean, like, I think Michael's canvas is called Artist Loft.
There you go. So
like,
you need.
It's in the marketing. We should all be given an artist loft.
Yeah, I agree. I need an artist loft.
It should be part of like the next stimulus.
I demand an artist loft. Oh man, I can't. What would this artist loft have? This Imagine artist loft, Randall. What would it have?
I mean, it has to have concrete floors and some exposed brick, but
yes.
I mean, other than that, probably a couple hundred Funko Pops. Some rich benefactor.
Yeah. You gotta have that like industrial wall, and then like that New Girl in the New Girl episode where they have that sliding dinged up metal door.
Old metal sliding door.
Yeah, that's definitely required for an artist loft.
Yeah. And you gotta have like mismatchy furniture that all looks really good together.
Yeah, even though you got it at Goodwill.
Yeah.
But it just aligns itself well.
Yeah.
So are you close to getting that artist loft?
Hell no.
Oh man, you need to put that on your dream. Do you have a dream? What's it called?
Like a dream board?
Dream board, yes.
I was told I should make one, and I never did. It wasn't. I don't have the calendar yet. So.
Who told you needed a dream board?
My therapist.
You should, Randall, you should do a spoof dream board.
Yeah.
Like.
You
have your unicorn painting, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like you print it out, and then you put yourself with your robot. Put your face.
Okay.
On top of the robot with.
But you're everything I want.
I wasn't even thinking that, but yes. You're gonna need more construction paper for that because it's.
Just get
Really... You ever seen the neon cat neon cat? It's that cat that looks like a Pop-Tart.
No.
Neon. It's like the neon cat. It makes no sense. I'm gonna search it up and put it on the screen share right now. It's the neon cat. Boy, I don't know if I can do that. I might get flagged for copyright, so I'm not even going to do it. It's called it's NYAN cat, and it's a cat that has a pixelated body of a Pop-Tart, and it has a rainbow behind it, and it just you can find it on YouTube, and they have like a video that just streams for like 20 hours of like some lo-fi techno music or something. I don't know. But I was going to say is like you put your face on the one robot, and then you find some like like six-pack ab photos and put it right there.
How do you know I don't have six-pack abs? I don't know. You have a stream.
All right, is it gonna be like the scene from the Step Brothers where you climb up in the clubhouse? You ever see the Step Brothers?
Yeah.
And it pans up and like he's like, I haven't had a carb since 2006. And rub this with olive oil every morning.
Yeah, I have abs. They're just buried under.
Oh, that is That is funny. That is funny. Oh gosh. Sorry. The overactive imagination is spurring with the dream board.
No, I'm actually digging the dream board idea. It's great.
And the farting the artist loft. I don't know. Was that the reason why I brought the dream board? Was the artist loft?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it just it went into nonsense. Sorry. Oh man. What's that, Randall?
On this show.
What's that?
We've so far covered a lot of nonsense.
Yeah, and that's I think that's good. Yeah. Because we can talk about your art more. We are going to talk about it if you're so inclined. But I haven't even gotten to it really. We kind of gleaned over it and glossed over some of the ideas and some of the stuff. Do you have you were talking about how you were working on some sketches? Mm-hmm. Can you talk about your art process a little bit?
Yeah. So what I do is, and this is newer. This started after I was working at the art store and I learned some stuff. Mm-hmm. I draw everything on my iPad first.
And you draw?
Yeah. There's an app called Procreate.
Oh yeah. I'm familiar.
It's like $10-15. It's great. So what I'll do is I'll draw out like this big one behind me. I'll draw it out close to like the scale. So I don't know what this is off the top of my head, but let's say it's bigger than this. But let's say it's a 24 by 36.
Yeah.
So if I make it on my iPad like half that size. Yeah. It gives me more layers.
Yeah.
And I'll draw it exactly how I want it. It helps me get through any like mistakes or anything I don't like. It's easily fixable. So if like I notice like say something's off, right? Maybe like I'm making a heart and one side of the heart looks a little wonky. So I can fix that in my iPad very quickly without having to fix it in the canvas first. So when I get my drawing down, then I'll put it into Photoshop and make it this actual size of the canvas. And then I'll save that as a PDF, and then I'll go get it printed out. And usually go to like an Office Depot or something like that, get it printed as a blueprint. So then they're printing it on a thinner paper, and I get it printed black and white. It only costs, say, it's usually under $4. And I can get it, pretty big sized. And then I'll put transfer paper onto the canvas and then put the sketch on top of the transfer paper, and then I'll trace it. So then it has left, it transfers the image to the canvas, and then it's like right there for me. I didn't lose any like the scale, or I'm not like worried about redrawing it 50, 60 times to get it, perfect. It's already done. So that made my process faster, and I think my painting's better.
Oh yeah.
So really, the hard work of getting the composition down and all that's done on my computer.
I've made the error of making very large paintings and not planning like that. I've done it a couple times and I regretted it. So like I understand that doing that is a game changer. You learned that at the art store, store you worked at?
From learning more about because what I was doing something similar, but I was taking if I was doing it, it was just like the transfer paper idea where I knew I could get a roll of transfer paper 24 by 36. Just makes it easier. Like that was something that I didn't really know about. I knew about transfer paper, but getting it to that size, I didn't know was possible. So it was like easy as buying a roll of giant transfer paper, and then I'm like, well, I can print this thing this big.
Yeah.
So how
big does transfer paper come? Like How big can you get it?
I mean, I think the one I have, because you can reuse it for a bit. It might be 18 by 24 or something like that.
So that's a big piece of transfer paper. Is it graphite paper or is it?
I mean, it's called transfer paper. It might be graphite. It's graphite. It feels like it's a graphite like.
Yeah.
It's
And do you transfer the image on a white canvas, or do you put like a base tone of paper paint on top and then transfer on top?
It's completely like a white gessoed canvas.
And
then the main image, like I kind of paint backwards. Like I'll do like the ones you can see behind me. I'll paint all that and then tape it off and then paint the background. Because a lot of my backgrounds are spray paint.
Okay.
So I use acrylics to do the actual painting, and then I do a black outline on everything, kind of like I want that cartoony look.
Yeah.
Those with paint markers.
Paint markers.
Using paint markers came from working at Publix. I did all the signage with paint markers. So that's where, like, the background of being a sign artist is still in my art.
Paint markers.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So a lot of like the paint, they're just acrylic paint and a marker.
Yeah.
There's like Montana is a good brand, and Molito is another good brand, and you can buy some cheaper ones that are made by like Elmer's, who makes Elmer's glue or Sharpie and all that, but they're not archival.
Yeah, and Molito and Montana are.
Yeah.
Which one are you currently using right now?
I use both. I actually have a really great Molito one that a vendor gave to me, where it's really thin on one side and thick on the other side. I never like activated the thick side because it's too thick for me to use for anything it's like kind of the in-between of like being like good for blocking out like big sections of color. But and then it's too small for that, and it's too thick to do like good line work. But the thin side's really great for line work. So that's what I've been using to do a lot of line work. And then I have go ahead.
What was the thing from Montana? I mean, from the
Montana, it's like the same stuff, but it's just I have a bunch of different colors in them.
Okay.
Montana makes different sizes. They make ones that are really small, and they make really wide ones. Where if you're using like I do the thicker canvas, where it's like 1.5 inches, I can paint the edge of that canvas black with one paint marker. Just kind of go around it one time and then let that dry, and I'll go around a second time just to get a little bit more like a really darker black. So it's probably 2 inches wide. So it makes that like painting that edge of the canvas really easy.
And does it go inside the pores of the canvas really well?
Yeah.
So no problem, no like scuffling.
No.
Or what would you call it?
So like Montana makes a really good line of spray paints. So that's where they make spray paint and paint markers. So the spray paint, they make there's different lines. There's it's called Montana Gold, where it's like a low pressure spray paint. It's really good for painting murals. And I use that stuff because I do mural paint and stuff like that. But a lot of my backgrounds are that Montana low pressure spray paint.
Is that the can? Are those cans in like lock and key? Is that the ones?
Depending on where you get them, yeah. Because
I've been
like $8 to $10 a can, depending on where you buy them.
Yeah, and they have like that amber gold color on the. Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, they are. The gold ones are low pressure. And then there's a Montana black, which it's like a high pressure.
What's the low pressure do? Like, what's that purpose of that?
So when you're painting murals and stuff like that, when it comes, the paint is coming out a little bit slower. So it's not like, where to say you pick up a can of Krylon, and every artist is different. Some people like the high pressure. I prefer low pressure. It's just not coming out as fast.
Yeah.
So it just gives you a little bit more can control.
Okay.
Easier to like kind of keep things from like dripping and running and all that. But everyone's process is different. But I like that low pressure gives me a little bit more control on all that. That's what I would prefer.
Do you use the gold cans on the backgrounds, or is it use an actual airbrush gun?
No, I'm using the gold can spray paint.
On the back of your backgrounds of your paintings.
Yeah, so I'll tape off everything I don't want. See, I'll do the black outline, and then I will use the black outline as a guide for like taping it off. Because then I know that outside black line on everything, I can just go over again pretty quickly. And I'll just spray paint all my backgrounds. And then some I'll do like kind of like a galaxy looking background. So then once I'm done painting it, I just have to do the black outline again, and I'm finished. And some like maybe I'll do it's like a sky. So I'll paint the whole entire thing blue, and maybe I'll go back and sometimes I'll do clouds with the white spray paint. And sometimes I'll just take the brush and then go back over and do the clouds.
What do you use the tape off with? Like what do you use to
like blue painter tape and like old newspaper or something like that. Sometimes I'll use the sketch that I just printed out to make the entire painting. So I'll just rip it up the way I need it and fill it in and tape it off so that it's completely covered.
Have you ever had any issue with paint going underneath with the blue painter tape?
Nothing like dramatic. I do a pretty good job of making sure that like sometimes I'll overdo it so I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes, that's just the way the wind, like literally the wind blows, and it gets up something that there's like a little bit of a gap. So you can see maybe there's like a little like odd shape of purple somewhere, and just paint over it. Nothing like, oh man, I just screwed it up. I got to start over. Yeah, nothing dramatic.
Have you heard of? I think they're called. Is it called like is it called scripts or? There's it was a commercial artist I spoke with, and there was a way of blocking out areas on paintings, and they called them. I think he called them scripts. I don't remember what the actual terminology for it, but like, do you know what I'm talking about? It was like either blocking paste or something like.
I may not know like if that might be a brand he's buying, but there is something you can buy that is. I think it's like it might be blocking. It's been a while since I've been at the art store, so I can't really think of the name, where you can paint that stuff over, and I think you just kind of like pull it off. Yeah. Almost, so it blocks out kind of the area you don't want covered, and you paint over it, and then you can like peel it off. Yeah. I don't know. I think like part of me is probably just afraid of like, I'm gonna paint this stuff that's gonna keep my painting perfect, and I'm gonna spray paint the hell out of it, and then just peel this stuff right off, and everything's gonna be great. Yeah. I don't know. I'd rather just tape it off and know for sure that it's gonna work.
Yeah. A little known fact about that is I also heard that you can use it to clear your pores. You just wipe it on there and you peel it off like a face mask.
I don't remember.
So that so do you actually outside of the gold Montana spray paint, do you have an airbrush machine that you use at all?
Not anymore. I had that. I worked at Publix. I had it when no one had any use for it, so it went home with me. I didn't really care for airbrushing.
Why?
And I just didn't. I don't know. Maybe it was at the time. It just seemed a little bit. I was a lot younger, so I didn't really want to. It was more like, this is taking forever. I can just do this faster.
Yeah.
Than learning the process. So at the time, I wasn't interested, and I haven't really thought about it since. So I guess it's the right move.
I've held a few of them. I always felt that the gun feels weird. Did you ever have that feeling? I don't know.
Like you have to you spray, and then when you run out, you have to refill it, or then you can reattach it, and then I don't know. It never really. I never really liked it. It never got to the point where I felt comfortable with it.
Do you have to clean them?
Yeah.
Like every time, or just every month?
I would assume every time. I don't know.
Oh man, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. I mean, I wouldn't want paint to dry up in there and then it gets clogged. So
yeah, so that I wouldn't want to do that.
I mean, there are some people who are just masterful with airbrush.
Yeah, I do not disagree on that. How long does it usually take to do one of those paintings? Like when you include the Procreate, the scaling up, the transfer?
I think if I'm really feeling it, I'm really into it, I wouldn't say more like a couple days.
A couple days?
Yeah. I mean, something like it's hard to say. Like, I've never really clocked it from like truly clocked it from the beginning of drawing the sketch to like it's ready to hang.
Yeah.
But I could probably do it if I have a good idea. Let's say I have a like the idea is solid in my head. I mean, it doesn't take more than a few hours to draw it out.
Mm-hmm.
Then, depending on the size of the painting, like a 16 by 20, I can do in a day.
Yeah.
I paint pretty fast. I've actually tried to slow down.
You're a fast painter?
Yeah, because I noticed that like when I first started painting, I was more like I would do 3 or 4 paintings in a day. Now, like I never want to do that fast ever again. I try to like slow down and add way more detail. I had a very, very graphic style of like if something was blue, it was just blue, and the yellows, and it's kind of like when the unicorn thing I showed you is very much like that, but I do that purposely to make like stickers and stuff like that.
But I stickers
that way too. And now it's like I try to do way more like shadow, a lot more detail, make the robot look a little bit more rustier, a little more weathered. Try to add really go more in on the detail and slow down painting.
So what's the paint what's the longest painting that you've worked on, or what are you trying to do to kind of slow down the process even more? Like outside just
the longest one has taken me but I would a few days. I would
That's
say
the longest one?
Yeah. I mean, I never spent more than a week on something.
Would you ever consider spending a month to 6 months on one painting?
Painting? Absolutely not.
I know some artists that do that, and it's like that's intense. Yeah, that's intense.
But I think I guess to not know that what their process is.
Yeah.
Acrylic painter, if I'm going to do something for 6 months, I mean, that thing would have to be huge.
Yeah.
Because how much can I put into one? Let's say it's a 24 by 36 painting or something like that I'm spending 6 months on. Like, I'd blow my brains out. That would drive me crazy.
I agree. Well, wouldn't drive me crazy.
So
I wouldn't do that, but
no, I mean, I would be interested to see what that person, someone who spends months on one painting, like what they're doing.
It's usually hyperrealism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do. I mean, I used to draw pretty realistic when I was younger. Now I don't think I've been so far down like this, like more illustrated, rubber hose type cartoon character that I don't think I could paint or draw realistic again. It's like I'd have to relearn that.
Yeah. It's like a skill that is lost, I guess.
Yeah. Like I think I spent so much time perfecting, or I don't think perfecting is the right word, but like
streamlining
the path to where I want my stuff to be. And it's like I definitely love that more old school cartoon look that I'm still even like working towards. And I don't like I'd have to like almost start again to get to the point of doing something hyper realistic. Yeah.
Did you watch a lot of cartoons as a kid?
I did.
What were some cartoons that you watched?
I mean, I grew up in the '80s, so it's like that Saturday morning cartoons that aren't around anymore. Whereas like everything from like the Smurfs With like the Gummy Bears, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, like Thundercats, like those last few like Transformers, G.I. Joe, I already said Transformers, He-Man and Thundercats. Those were like, I love those. That was stuff that I would watch that, and then I remember I must have been in like first grade, and there was a contest for a He-Man character. You created your own He-Man character and send it into Hasbro or Mattel or whoever it was that made He-Man toys. And like that, I was in like the first grade, and I didn't win, but and I could be wrong. I don't know if everyone got it, but Hasbro sent me a letter back, and I got like a magnet that said like it was like an honorable mention type thing.
That's cool.
I mean, I've never Googled to see. Maybe I'll do that when we're done.
you could Google to see if you can find your submission.
No, but to see if everyone who submitted got the magnet, or if only some people did, because it'd be interesting to see it. Like, honestly, that's like first grade. I remember looking in the encyclopedia. Like, I'm really dating myself, and seeing like looking up things that would be like, well, this would be cool if you made it like a man and like this insect and drawing that out. So like Transformers, He-Man, Thundercats, all that had like that, and Star Wars had like, I mean, that pretty much shaped who I was. I mean, I remember as a kid watching Star Wars VHS until it wore out.
Yeah.
I remember my mom saying that we had to throw it out. And I was so upset, but I didn't really, we had to throw it out because it didn't really work anymore. I would watch Return of the Jedi, rewind it, and watch it again.
How much do those VHSs cost? They were expensive to get like one.
No, like I'm pretty sure that my Return of the Jedi VHS was recorded off of HBO. It wasn't. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So honorable mention, Transformers.
Yeah.
Did you watch Ghostbusters?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I like Ghostbusters.
That one was good. Man, there's so many that like everything had a cartoon. Like there was a Karate Kid cartoon, and like, they made a Rambo cartoon in the 80s.
They did?
Rambo, yeah. Like RoboCop had a cartoon. Like I remember watching RoboCop at my friend's house.
Yeah.
His parents would let us watch every violent movie there was. We used to go outside in the front yard with the video camera and make up like costumes, and like we're gonna make a movie. And I mean, we were just like, you're in second grade. So I saw like RoboCop in second grade, and then they made a cartoon out of it. I mean, watching RoboCop as an adult, you see how like hyper violent it is, and like things they're dealing with, and it's like we should make a children's cartoon at this.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wasn't it like it was supposed to be like NC-17 or something, or like it was supposed to be? It was rated. Like,
yeah, from what I remember seeing a thing that they had a hard time with, like they just had to keep editing it to get it down to an R.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like really, really. They really pushed the boundaries with the like the prop exploding chest things, you know.
And then they had the guy who fell into the acid, and then they ran him over with the car. And that guy on ER.
Yeah, he became a jerk ER surgeon or something.
Yeah.
Wasn't he like?
Yeah, he was in the beginning of like when, like everyone had to stay inside. I watched 15 seasons of ER. Like the beginning of this year.
You watched 15 seasons?
Mm-hmm. I put it on every day. It took
Randall. That's like 100 paintings. You could have had 100 paintings done.
I know. Instead, I watched the entire series of ER. And,
on DVD or like on like a streaming?
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
Hulu.
And I kept track of all the guest stars that are either were super famous or are famous now. And it's like the first job they had was being on ER.
Yeah, I know George Clooney was there for a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm talking like Chris Pine. You know him, the actor, the guy who's Captain Kirk in the new Star Trek. He was in Wonder Woman.
Oh, he would have to be really young at that time.
Yeah, he was. He was in his first job was one episode of ER.
Wow.
And then like there's multiple people from The Office who were on it. And it was like their first thing was ER.
Like who?
Was her
Chris who?
Kirsten Dunst. Remember her?
Kirsten Dunst? Yeah.
She was in it. She was in like multiple episodes. It's crazy. Like if you go back and watch ER, it's like, oh my god, that's the guy from the thing.
I don't remember. I haven't watched a lot of ER. I'm going to be honest.
So,
I think didn't it define like the genre at the time? Like it set this like whenever we make a hospital themed show, it's got to be like this or better or
yeah. But if you watch like I did, you watch from episode 1 to episode, whatever 15-year seasons of ER is. And they must have built that hospital on like an Indian burial ground or something because like that place is cursed. Like I kind of expected to be like the very last episode. They're like, well, we did build this hospital, on like sacred land. That's why everyone who's in this episode has either been shot, killed, and I'm talking like the cast. It's like they want to get rid of like someone's last episode.
Yeah,
it's like Mekhi Phifer. Never mind. I don't want to spoil it. I mean, I don't know who eventually is going to listen to this and watch ER and be like, that guy, never buying a robot painting from him. He really like different characters who will not be named. It's like, man, how did this guy die after this person was shot? And
yeah, there's so many things.
Died of cancer, and 10 seasons ago, this person was stabbed. It's like they would tell these people, like, shouldn't we shut this hospital down?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Grey's Anatomy?
I've never seen it.
The way you're describing it, I haven't seen a lot of ER, but I've in passing I've watched a few episodes of Grey's Anatomy when I'm pestering my wife.
Yeah.
What happened? What's he doing? Why is he sad? Or why is he mad? Or why is she upset? What's her deal? I just ask random questions until she turns it off. Well, she just automatically turns it off already. But like it reminds me of what you're saying, like because in Grey's Anatomy they're always like this place, everyone just has the worst luck. Everyone's always getting in trouble. They're crashing helicopters. Things are exploding. There's terrorist attacks happening in a hospital all the time, like 5 million times. How many times? Like, what is going on with this hospital? Yeah, that's interesting.
It's like the curse of being a TV show that's on too long.
Yeah, they got to make up
being
stuff.
A TV show where it's like, the excitement of, people come in sick isn't enough. We have to now introduce terrorists. It's like,
yeah, like
I'm afraid to watch. What's it called? Grey's Anatomy, because it's another thing. There's like 20-something seasons. That show's been on forever, and I don't want to fall down the rabbit hole of.
Yeah. If you've watched the first all the episodes of ER, you might want to cut your losses.
Yeah.
How about Scrubs? Have you
Scrubs? Someone posted on my Facebook, my art Facebook, and we were talking about shows, and someone said, "Have you seen Scrubs?" And I'm like, "I've seen a few episodes here and there."
Yeah.
I sat down and watched it. And I did, dude. It was really good. I kind of watched it more while I was working instead of just like, I'm just gonna sit here and watch Scrubs.
Yeah, it's like one of those type of shows.
Luckily it's a half-hour show. Yeah. So like on Hulu, it's like 20-something minutes.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know if this is true. I heard stories that like they did the filming on like an old hospital, like an
Yeah,
actual hospital that was
'cause
closed.
they have a podcast where they rewatch it. Zach Braff and Donald Faison.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things they talked about. It's like an old abandoned hospital that's like 5 stories, and they put everything in that hospital, like their dressing rooms. That's where they did the editing. That's where they did the writing. The whole entire show was created in an old abandoned hospital.
And I heard, is this true? Did they actually have like people come in thinking it was still a hospital?
I don't know that part. I mean,
I heard like people would come in like, we need to go to ER, or like it's an emergency. The people would come in and thinking that they it was like a urgent care, and I don't know if this is true. I just heard in passing that people would actually accidentally come in there for care and find out that this is a set.
yeah,
You know?
go on Scrubs.
Yeah.
What do you have? Like, should have been the first question, because they could just fit it into the show. It's like, oh,
Zach,
we'll get to you.
you look familiar. You look like the actor from Scrubs, like Zach Braff. No. I get that a lot. We're gonna put you in the prep you for surgery, and then you have the surgeon guy he has his sleeves cut off.
Yeah,
really short sleeves.
yeah.
And he's gonna take care of you. He's like, you look like that actor. Am I being punked? Right.
Around yet.
Yeah. So, again, you set up you actually do a rather complex setup with your painting.
I mean, yeah, no.
Well, I mean, a lot of like that process is a very technical process from my experience with painting. You don't often hear transfer methods being used. That, at least, it's not like it's used frequently, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I do things kind of the hard way, I think, where I do things backwards, but that's the way I like it. And also drawing the thing in Procreate, like if it's something like, it's really easy to then take that sketch and I can do another layer where I can ink it and then paint and then color it in Procreate, and then I can make stickers or magnets or something from that.
Yeah.
So it's like dual purpose at the same time. So it's because there's some, for me, like I like the stickers to have a very graphic, bright look, whereas like I now want my paintings to have more depth. I don't want that for my stickers. So I can do the exact same where it's like everything is the same, but the coloring is a little different for the stickers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
that process of doing that in Procreate on my iPad makes that really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to buy Procreate, but it's like in order to use it, you actually have to have an iPad, like, or at least from my understanding.
Yeah, you got to have an iPad Pro because you need the one with the pencil.
Oh, you can't just have a regular iPad?
No, because, well, I don't know now. Does whatever one the pencil works with? I don't know if Apple changes their stuff so quickly and so often that I don't know what it's like now, but when I got my iPad Pro, the only way to have the Apple Pencil was through getting an iPad Pro.
Yeah. So that's
for like 2 or 3 years now.
It's something I've been thinking about getting in the back of my mind. I don't know if I'll ever get one of those. Not at the moment, not at this current moment. I don't use a tablet enough, or at least a tablet that I walk around with. I'll be afraid if they get broken. Randall, do you have any like, I know you kind of said you don't, but do you have any like art habits? Like things you do before a painting, or things that you do to start painting. I know that you said you're pretty hectic at the moment, but is there anything that's kind of like consistent?
I think the thing that would be, and this is not anything huge. I don't really have any like anything I need to do. I like to have a drink with me, and I like to have something on. Like I used to paint to music, but then I tend to like I said, I try to slow down my painting. So if I'm listening to something that's fast paced, I'll start speeding up. So I usually put on like The Office or New Girl or something that I've seen a gazillion times. So I don't have to pay attention to it, but it has that background noise.
Yeah.
I can't really paint in silence.
Okay.
That's the only thing, really. I mean, I don't need to. As long as I'm in the mood to paint, I'm ready to paint.
What gets you in the mood?
I think it's either just there, or some random thing will spark something. Like it'll inspire me.
What was the most recent random thing that you encountered that was like, doing that sparked something?
This commercial for I think it's an antidepressant, where the lady holds up. It's almost like a paddle that you would use at an auction with your number on it.
Okay.
But it has a smiley face on it.
Uh-huh.
She's kind of, it's like her, yeah, I'm happy. She's like faking it. And that was like, oh, that would be cool for, I feel like that fits in what I do. Like that would be like a robot, just kind of like, but he's holding the thing with the smiley face. I still haven't painted that painting, but when I saw it, it kind of made me be like, oh, let's paint. And then I started, whatever I had sitting around or wasn't finished, I jumped up and started painting. But I made note of that idea on my phone. Like, I think that in some way, or maybe he's holding a balloon and the balloon has a smiley face or something like that. Somehow with like and something else has a smiley face. Since he doesn't really, like I can kind of move here where you can see here. And there's not a ton of expression on his. I try and it's like a dog. If I move a certain way or move the mouth a certain way, I can get a little bit more expression, but he doesn't really smile. I did some sketches of it, like where his jawline comes so it looks like a smile. It looks weird. So him holding something that's smiling, I thought that kind of took my brain down into like a thought process, and it was all from that commercial.
Have you thought like doing ones with like emojis, like like different, like 5 to 10 of them, where it's just different ones?
No, that's not a bad idea.
Like the smiley one, the angry face one, this like the closed eyes with the straight mouth, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
No, I kind of use that one as like someone says something that's almost like sarcasm type.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. That's I don't know what other use you would have for that.
Yeah. So this like random happenstance things kind of get you going, and you listen as like white noise in the background, The Office and
it's a little bit more than white noise, because like I love The Office and I always find it funny. It's more like something that it's entertaining enough hearing it because I already know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit more than white noise, because then if I need to stop and take a break, or like I'm waiting for a section to dry, like I can just watch and I'm not like lost.
Yeah.
I'll do it with professional wrestling too. If I'm painting late at night, because professional wrestling is the same thing, where it's like it's dumb enough but like entertaining enough.
Yeah.
That that's something I found out recently, and it's because when I was a kid I was a huge fan of wrestling, and then I completely got older and I'm like, this is dumb. But now it's like if I put it on and I'm doing something else, it's entertaining enough I don't have to really watch. But when I stop and take a break, it's entertaining enough to like it's goofy enough, and it's like holding somewhat of an interest, but not enough to pull me away from my painting. Yeah. And it's not something like an ER or something on Netflix where if I want to watch it and I want to know what the plot and I want to know what's going on. Yeah, it's like all the same thing, where that's the same thing with The Office, where it's like I can paint, and then when I get to a point where this has to dry, I can watch it and it's not going to pull me away from the painting. So that like 10-15-minute break, and then I'm back into painting because whatever's on the TV is it's not riveting. Or I've seen it so many times that it's like, I know what they're going to say and it's still funny, but it's not enough to pull me away.
And you said that you maybe I'm misheard. You'd listen to music, or you found that you listen to music made you speed up or slow down?
Yeah, like, so I would usually listen to like, if I'm listening to music, I would then paint to almost the pace of the music.
Yeah.
It was almost too distracting.
It like I experienced that where it like it does create like a it's like the pace car,
Yeah.
It's like this is going way too fast and I feel like I have to move with the beat. Yeah, so you decided
something and it's like elevator music-y, and then it's like a slow jazz, and it makes me tired.
Yeah. How many Red Bulls do you take in the morning, or you drink?
I like how you say "take."
I
have it all day long.
Like it was some sort of like a drug, or like it was a drug or something like that. But like how many Red Bulls do you have in the morning?
Usually just one.
Just one?
Having a day is a better question.
Oh, how many a day?
Pretty consistently 2 to 3.
Do you like the original, or do you have other flavors?
Sugar-free one.
The 12-ounce sugar-free one?
Yeah.
That's your fave?
Yeah.
Have you tried a Monster?
Like it's like a half shot of Red Bull. It's not enough caffeine to get me going. And sometimes it's just like a little too sweet, too chemically. I don't know.
Oh, the regular or Monster?
Yeah. I mean, I'll drink, but sometimes like, whoa, that was sweet. It's like almost drinking like soda syrup,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it make your hand shake? Do you get like jittery?
Mm-hmm.
No. Do you have jitters? I some people, artists I know, they have to really focus, or they can't have caffeine because it actually makes it makes their hand shake when they want to do really fine detail work.
No, I've noticed that, and people have said it to me, and I did notice that I have a pretty steady hand. If I feel like my hand's shaking, or I need to hold my right hand with my left hand.
Yeah. Are those line done freehand? Those lines in the strings on the air balloon?
No.
So you use guidance like a ruler?
Yeah.
Very cool. And then because it's the acrylic marker.
Like I heard this thing is like an artist where someone says, you're sitting there drawing, and someone's like, I can't even draw a straight line.
Yeah.
Get a ruler.
There's your answer.
But it's the tool. It's no different than the paintbrush. If I want the line to be straight, I have different rulers now. I didn't always use rulers, but I have noticed that it looks better when you have a nice straight line. And then I'll go back over it, maybe freehand, just to kind of make it look like it's frayed in some areas, and look thicker, like it's twisting or something like that. But yeah, the first line, it's part of my process of slowing down, is to use rulers and stuff like that, and get these nicer lines where I want them.
What other new tools have you started using as of late?
I've just different brushes a lot. Working at the art store, I used to buy I would buy like the 7-pack of brushes at Michael's and trash them and throw them out. I still tend to do that. I don't really take care of my brushes, but I bought ones that are, some have like the line, it's more like they're different shapes. Some curve up and some come to a thin point, and then they kind of flare out a little bit. There's so many different types of brushes. You can kind of learn that working at an art store and actually having the ability to take a brush and try it out and see what this line does or what it does, and just by experimenting with them. And I've went from using like, I think, a simple selection of 7 brushes from Michaels to, adding some different brushes I never thought of I would use, like good, like big, like script liners and stuff like that. And really liking them. I'm using like a filbert, or like I wouldn't even know that a filbert is a brush. Like different. You like learn the names of them too.
Yeah.
Instead of just buying them in the pack at Michaels, and they sit in paint water 24/7, except for when I'm using them, and throw them out. Buy another pack, put the coupon, and you spend $5 on your brushes.
You would never clean your brushes?
Oh no! I mean, sometimes I clean them, but it's just like, you can actually buy stuff that is good for cleaning your brushes, and then it will put like the random bristles back where they're supposed to be instead of cutting them off with scissors. And, like, I am notorious for not taking care of my brushes. They soak in water 24/7, and that's horrible.
Oh yeah.
The rust, the wood splits, But I don't know. I'm bad at it, so I'm never gonna. I don't buy expensive brushes because I know it's just something I'm bad at. I'm not gonna. After every use, I'm not gonna clean them off and put them out to dry properly and clean them up properly and all that, which you probably should do. I'm not. Don't follow my advice. You should clean your brush. But yeah, I'm really bad at that.
So you said that you were a working artist for 10 years.
Yeah.
Really grinding.
Yeah.
Like the way the way you pictured it, you portrayed it was like it was basically just enough to survive.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
It depended. Like there was a lot of feast and famine.
Okay.
I mean, times that I had my last, like I'm down to my last $10 on a Thursday, and for whatever reason, there was a lot of like art walks on Thursdays in Florida or in Orlando. I mean, and yeah, I decided that last $10-15 or whatever it was that I had, I'm going to go use that as my entry fee to get into this art walk to sell some art.
Very cool.
And luckily, usually that worked out. But there was also times where it's like, I'm doing great. And I'm being smart with my money and I'm putting stuff away. You know? But, yeah, I mean, I think that for the most part, there was a lot of mistakes that I made on my own.
What kind of mistakes, Randall?
I think the biggest is pricing my art.
Pricing?
Where I did price my art. I was making a lot of art because I painted fast and I enjoyed making it. And it was like, not that I don't now, but it was cool. Yeah, I make 4 or 5 paintings in a day, and then I'd go on a Sunday to a farmer's market and sell them at $100 a piece, and then I just made $500 in a day.
Yeah.
But that doesn't get you to a long-term. There's no, long-term end of the road thing where I feel now that I had to almost like triple my prices really quickly. Like if I really want to do something with my art, and I think this is something I put off for so long, and I think that's my biggest mistake, is pricing my art to sell and being like, well, I like this idea that everyone can afford my art. Which is, it feels good for someone to buy a painting. That's ultimately the goal, but
yeah,
when the country is like flipped upside down due to all this stuff going on, and my graphic design degree isn't pulling in a job, it just makes, I think it kind of shined more a light on what I did with my art career. In some ways was really great, but in some ways I, at least financially, set myself up to fail financially.
Yeah.
And that's something that when I look back on it, that's where I see it as like such a struggle. But there's no playbook that someone can hand you and be like, this is how you make it.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's experience is different, everybody's art's different, and it was always like, you know, kind of like when you asked me, why do you paint robots? A lot of people ask me that.
Yeah.
I'd rather paint something I enjoy than paint a bunch of stuff I hate, even if the stuff I hate is what's selling. You know, if I could get thousands of dollars for painting like Live, Love, Laugh, I'd rather not. Or I definitely would not. You know what I mean?
What's Live, Love, Laugh?
You ever see that phrase in like every like, it's just like the phrase Live, Love, Laugh?
I've heard the phrase. Is it like a image of it?
Yeah, it's like scripty letters that are in every like.
Oh yes, there's a meme.
Older white lady's house. All the Karens love Live, Love, Laugh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Live, Love, Laugh. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's kind of like I said before, where it's like I judge everything, but I don't judge it to the point where I'm judging the person for it. But it's really about, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to put it. Like, it's not like selling out, but it's just like, I guess, staying true to who I am.
I get it.
Like, I really want to paint things that feel right to me than I would have painted something that wasn't authentically me, and maybe that would have gotten me more financial success. But then I'm not really being true to myself.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on people that tell you like they're passenger artist? You know, like a passenger, like a passenger driver telling you how to drive.
Oh,
what's the name? Do you know the?
You mean like someone who's like people who tell you what you should paint, or?
Yeah, like do you ever get that? Like, you know what you should do? You should do more of this. I'm like, no. You ever get any of that?
You get that, but honestly, I don't give an F what anyone else says. Or
yeah.
Get up and look in the mirror at, and it's me. And I've pretty much always been like that, where it's like, you can tell me your opinion or your thought, and then if it's good, I'll take it. If it's not, okay. And that can be like, if you're complimenting me or if you're criticizing me. No one's gonna criticize me more than I already do myself. So
yeah.
I've never been big into like other people's thoughts, or I don't know. And I don't mean that like to be like an ass.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I've always felt that there's always been something in me about being true to myself.
Self-awareness.
And that means more than anybody else says to me. Like I've gone to places with my art, and I know like my art isn't for everyone. It definitely has its. People would say more often that, oh, that's great for a kid's room, but I've sold art to hundreds of people who like, I've done a big painting for someone who wanted to propose to their girlfriend. So the guy asked me to do a robot proposing to another robot. I mean, that's not for a kid's bedroom. I think that's the biggest thing that I get where someone's making some sort of, it's along those lines of, what you should paint. It's like those same people who think that this is just for kids.
What was it like doing that painting?
honestly, it's like that's kind of like what's the word? It's like I mean, it's definitely an honor.
Yeah.
It's like like that's more of a validation in a way for my work. When someone wants that big of a thing in their life. I mean, that's a huge life changing decision to make.
Yeah.
And to use my art as the way to do it. I mean, that's huge.
Have you had any other like circumstances kind of like that occur, like with your art?
Yeah, I've done 2 proposal pieces.
Wow, 2. Like
the first one I knew was a proposal piece. The second I didn't. The guy just told me what he wanted.
What was it supposed to be like? What was it?
I mean, it wasn't one of my robots, but he did one. Then bought a robot painting of him and his. I don't know if they're married yet or if they were, but like him and his wife. So it was like a female robot and a male robot. They're like holding hands.
Oh, that's cool.
The thing he wanted was a ham and like a jar of jam because their initials, I think, before they got married, were ham and jam. Like if you put them together.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm horrible with names, so I hope he's not listening.
Ham jam.
Say his name is John.
Okay.
So his John, his middle name's an A, his last name's an M. Hers is, say it's Heather, her it's A, and her last name is M. But it wasn't the same last name. So that was their nickname. That was like their nickname for each other was Ham and Jam.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
You didn't know. Oh man. So two proposal paintings. That's amazing.
And then, like, little baby robots. So when someone's having a baby. So I'll do the same head, but then he's got a little Junkbot body and he's got little tiny robot arms. And I'll usually like set up blocks. So it looks like he's playing with blocks with the kid's name. So I did a few of those.
That's awesome. I never would have thought. Well, now it makes sense that would be it.
Family, so like each robot is either it's like a portrait style, so it's like say there's a mom dad robot and like 3 kid robots. Or then I did another one for a guy who I've met him a few times. We hung out a couple times, and I think he lived in Tennessee when I lived in Nashville, but he lived in like I don't know what city it was, but it was kind of close on the border of North Carolina and Tennessee. So I did a digital drawing of a robot for every person in the family, but each one had like whatever like the personality thing that one was Star Wars one. Then I did like for his wife a Game of Thrones one where the robot was sitting on the Iron Throne drinking a glass of wine. So each member of their family got their own like portrait as a robot with the biggest thing that they're into. So like a lot of like stuff like that where it's like personalized.
What would those usually go for?
I mean, the digital drawings are I think like $50 a piece.
Yeah.
I just email the file and they print them. Different size paintings. I mean, now it's like, what did they go for then, and what did they go for now?
Yeah.
Different. It's tough sometimes to think about that I would do an original painting for someone a pretty decent size and sell it for $100. Like thinking back, like that's why I laugh. It's like so ridiculous. It's like, man, I so underpriced myself.
Yeah, undervalued.
Yeah.
Was it just self-confidence, or was it the drive that you didn't know when the next paycheck was kind of coming?
Yeah, it was definitely the not knowing where the money's coming from at all times.
Yeah.
That I knew like I knew my number at the end of the month. So if I sold a couple paintings at a couple $100, then I could get to that point, I'd be all right. And then it's I guess from setting myself up as like this, the art's the only thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to make it one way or the other. I didn't have the luxury where it's like, this painting's $1,000 something now, and when the buyer comes, I'll sell the painting.
Mm-hmm.
Which, and then when I stopped doing the art and I actually got a job working in a mall, designing the stores in the mall, I got away from painting a little bit. I wasn't painting as much. So it's all about trying to find that balance of finding some sort of career where the art can be secondary, but it's not so secondary that I'm not doing it, or I'm doing it sporadically. That's why I want to create the calendar, the timeline, the the schedule, yeah.
Schedule.
The schedule.
Schedule. Is
schedule.
I gotta go check my schedule. Is it schedule? People do say schedule. Is it schedule?
Yeah.
I'm messing it up when I'm saying it now. It's getting worse.
So it's like when I do have the schedule set up, I know how to navigate the time. It's like, well, this time's already planned out for painting or creating art. And it's, and something happens, I can move it. I can be more, I guess, efficient in the times I need to be. And I really need that.
Have you been efficient as of late, or has it been kind of just sporadic?
It's been more sporadic. I think part of it is I'm not used to having paintings that I can put on. Like, I moved some stuff around to have this background. I'm not used to having paintings laying around where I can just be like, well, I'll stick all these on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I got to a point where it's like, well, I have a lot of paintings just sitting around.
Yeah.
A little uncomfortableness about that.
Because you're so used to, the way it sounds, you're so used to like just moving them real quick.
Yeah.
So that's that's impressive. Like that's interesting that you can move. Well, not interesting, but like that's amazing, right? But like as you said, it was because you had that low price point. Did you when you were selling them? Did you ever at that time think about like increasing the price point a little bit so you can find that threshold where you would stop, you wouldn't be able to sell them anymore,
Yeah, but I think I waited too long.
Mm-hmm.
I went a long period of time where I had that low price and I was selling. So it was like, it seemed like, and in this odd way, it seemed like I was doing good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I knew that say I needed to make $1,000 a month, I would make enough paintings, sell enough paintings to hit $1,000, and I knew I could do that. And I think that somehow, or like getting advice from people who aren't artists, or asking people who, when you're asking advice from people who I think are giving you they're giving you advice from where they're coming from, as if they were to buy art, but they're not really art buyers, or they're not make art, So it's, it's a little tough to like look back and see each place where I made a mistake. You know what I mean? And I think now I know I needed to raise my prices, and I did it. And I'll have some flash sales there and there, where I'll sell something half price just to get something moving, get some interest, like people. But I don't want to get to the point where someone's waiting to buy a painting to see if I'm putting it on a flash sale.
Yeah.
The other thing that's like is in my head when I do a flash sale. It's like, Who's just holding out, be like, well, eventually he's going to have this on sale. Then I'm kind of back at the same spot. But not really, because I don't go my prices that low. But still, it's like when I set the price at, like, this is the price, and then it's now 50% off until Monday, and it's Saturday night. If someone really liked it, maybe they'll think, like, I've got another one waiting around. Just like, well, let's see if he puts it on a flash sale.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow, like, there's like this idea that I have to balance that, because that could be a trap, for lack of a better term.
So, what kind of business or marketing advice or tips that you've learned in your experiences as a working artist that you can talk about?
I would say a couple different things. I think there's more value in going to school for marketing than there is to go to school for art. And that's even like graphic design, if you went that angle. Because I went for graphic design, and you can learn, I'm sure you can learn marketing too, but you can learn graphic design and stuff like that from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Marketing, I think, is more important these days than learning like whatever you're going to learn at art school. You can learn how to paint by doing it. You don't need to go to school to tell you to do it. I learned to draw, paint, all that just by doing it. And there's no, like, I think another thing is, like, for painting and stuff, I think there are people who, and I know this by teaching like the step-by-step painting classes, it's like people are afraid to paint, they're afraid to mess up. And I think paint's super easy to fix. So I think that's something that, like, not having fear of trying to do it. Just get in there and do it.
Yeah.
I think as far as selling, I think maybe selling your art, I think you should work backwards. Maybe set your prices high and work backwards. If you think, well, I could get $100 for this painting, maybe the price should be $500. And then if no one will give you $500, then it's $400. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's easier. That's probably a better mistake than starting low. I would, if I could go back and do it, that's what I'd probably do. I'd make the mistake of setting my prices too high.
And just lower them, until you find the price.
But then you kind of find, if you start at the ceiling and find the floor, instead of starting on the floor and trying to claw your way to the ceiling.
That's something I haven't heard before. That's an interesting concept.
But
like
I could be wrong. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Selling art, there is no playbook that's like, this is exactly what you do.
Like, I heard that, like, I heard or read that customers don't like it if you sell a painting at X that might be real high, and then you're like, things aren't doing too well, right? You're like, you're in a pinch, and you need to sell your painting down here at Y.
Mm-hmm.
And then the customer or client has said, hey, you sold the same painting at this price. It's the same size. It looks like the same whatever. It was sold years back. Now you're selling your paintings at this point. And I hear, like, people say, like, these professional artists say, you can't do that. You can't do that. Like, well, first off, I think there's this notion, maybe, I don't know if maybe you might agree with this. There might be a notion that a lot of people look at art as like an investment.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be the reason why you can't swivel your art. But, like, as you were saying, artists, you got bills, right? It's like, okay, client, that wanted you bought the painting at this. Why don't you buy a painting at this right now, and then save yourself whatever amount of money.
I would think that. I mean, if it were me, I would. First of all, I would think a different. First of all, I don't know if the people who are buying my art are really going to say that to me.
Yeah.
Like I would think it would be more something I would think they would say than they would actually say.
Yeah.
And it's my art. I can sell it wherever I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same painting, the same thing. It could be $100 today. It could be $10,000 tomorrow, or it could be vice versa. Who's to say? Who's to say that no one makes my prices but me.
It's interesting because if you think about like art as if like it's like a product, right? And if you go to or like what if art was like gas at a gas station? You go to the gas over here, aka your art is the same art, costs this much, and then you go like a couple blocks, aka you're probably going a couple states, whatever, and then it's this much. It's like the price point here is selling at this point here, but I can't sell this work at this range at this store, right?
Yeah.
So like it makes sense. But I've heard I hear from other fellow artists that they feel trapped about that concept where they can't dial back their pricing because their galleries that represent them, maybe that's the galleries, I don't know, that are dictating, like maybe they're under contract. They're like, you can't sell artwork at this lower than this at your studio. Like, well, then sell my art. I don't know.
But that's a total different thing that you need to figure out. Do I want to get in with a gallery who tells me what I can do with my art?
Yeah. Have you
is setting your own? It's the Oregon Trail. You set your own path and you go.
Have you died of dysentery yet?
Oh, yeah, I think I have. I think, I don't know, maybe some people are worried too much what other people are going to say or think without you even taking the action first.
Yeah. But have you had it?
I did have some thoughts. Okay, so what are the people going to say who, same deal. I need to raise my prices probably 3 times.
Yeah.
What do I tell the person that has bought art for me for years and now is like, man, I can't afford your art? I mean, that kind of sucks. But in a way, it's like, but all the art you just bought ideally went up in value.
Payment plan.
That's there too. But then there's also this, like right now, I'm not loading my car with art. I'm not buying gas. I'm not driving out to, something that's an hour away, setting up, doing all this and sitting there for 8 hours. So I've removed all that investment and say you watch this podcast and you want one of these paintings here, but you went to my website and it's a little bit more than you want to spend. It's a lot easier for me to give you a deal that all I got to do is wrap it in bubble wrap and stuff like that and ship it. That's a lot. There's a lot less hoops to jump through to get it to you and a lot less money involved. So that's also a different perspective to look at things. I don't know, but I also think in a way, if you're buying my art as an investment, then you're a dumbass.
That's what
all these different things. If you're buying art from someone who, you're not buying it at whatever the hell that art auction is, where people are buying Banksy's for millions of dollars. What, you're really buying it for an investment? If someone's prices of art's in the hundreds, you're not buying it as an investment. You're buying it because you like it and you want to look at it and you want to see it every day and it makes you smile or it makes you feel something or it reminds you of something.
Yeah.
If you're buying art that's $20,000 for, a small piece, then yeah, maybe that's an investment, but you're at a total different level.
Yeah.
You're not worried about what someone says to you about your price points at that point because you're like, dude, I sell art for $20,000. Like, why do I care if you're mad? Someone else will buy it. Or, but then you get the flip side of the coin. Dude, I sell art for this painting's $300.
Yeah.
Either one or you don't. Why do I care if you're mad? You know what I mean? But you're at a different level, man. You're at a different level. Everything's on a different level. I don't have that $20,000 make it rain.
Why not? Everyone does.
So if you're going to be mad at me for raising my prices from 100 to 300,
yeah,
or maybe let's me out of the equation. Let's make it any artist. Do you want to see that artist succeed, or do you care more about getting a deal for art you like? And it's like kind of like you're saying in the store. It's not like a Target. There's not 6 of these paintings all lined up behind them, and they're all the exact same price, and you just pull one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of. That's why, like I said, there's no playbook.
So have you, when you encountered a position where you're in a point where like, I can't afford your art, what was your like strategy to have you ever? Did you ever have a strategy like, well, you can do payment plans, or was there some way that you came to some sort of agreement?
I never had anyone that I had. It was more like, like selling at conventions or something like that. And some 16-year-old kid said, "Man, your stuff's expensive." And I was like, "Sweet." I was actually happy.
It's like, you better work 40 to 50 hours at McDonald's to pay for this.
What's that?
I was just saying that if you should have told the 16-year-old that they need to put in some overtime at their job, and then they can have this painting.
Yeah, but I don't think they're not real buyers.
I know.
But I never had anyone say, "Dude, well, maybe I can't really think of someone who was like, man, I really want this, but I can't afford it." Like that like there's no scenario that I can really think of that, and maybe that's a bad thing. But I mean, there's always workarounds, and if you really, really want it, there's, like you said, there's payment plans. There's things we could work out.
Have you set up a payment plan ever?
Not that I can think of. The only thing that really comes to mind is that dude who gave me $100 for that thing, and then I never heard from him again.
Yeah, because I've never like I think customers, when they see a price point or a price tag for the art, they think that that's it. Like that's the price, and you can't go any lower, or they don't even want to or if that's the set price, they've already established that they can't afford it, or that there would be no other options of paying for it, or in clumps, it never occurs to them. What was it? Like art layaway. They should put that out. They should put that out there, Or like rent to own art. What's that?
I would do layaway for somebody if they wanted it, but everything is like, I guess. But it also, everything depends on the piece too. Like just because it says $450 on my website doesn't mean that's locked in stone.
Yeah.
But some people, I guess for some people it is. I think that's where part of not caring what people think, and if you really want it and you really can't afford it, and you just be like, "Hey, I really like this painting. Would you take $300 for it? Because that's where I can afford." Or, like they gotta have people. I think it's the same thing as like you gotta have you have to be willing to raise your prices just the same as someone needs to be willing to ask for a discount or make an offer or ask you if you'll take offers.
I think that reminds me that price thing that you talked about, where you start out real high.
Yeah.
I think I did that once. It's been such a long time, but that's a really good idea. I'm going to write that down. So what you need to do, Randall, is the painting's behind you. You need to like astronomically price them real high, and then just slowly, weasel them down until you find where people are gonna like, I'll pay that. Or go up to the Banksy level and say this is a $30 million. Like, why is it 30 million?
Painting's $1 million.
What's that?
This painting is like $1 million.
I should
$100 right now. It's yours.
You should do that on your website just so that it'd be. I'm going to do that on a website just so I can say that I have a painting for $1 million on my website. That'll make me laugh. What's the price?
Best offer.
What? 1 million or best offer?
Or best offer.
It's $1 million, but I could definitely, there's some you can.
I'd sell it to you.
Oh, that's great. Whew. Randall, do you have a favorite childhood memory?
Oh man. I don't think so.
Do you have a
pinpoint one? I'm sure. I mean, watching Star Wars for the first time was pretty great.
Wait, I have a question about that. How do you feel about when they started altering Star Wars, like the from the original? Like when George Lucas started adding new stuff?
There's some good and there's some bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I'm torn on it. There is some good stuff that I think really helped, like advance it to a point where you really wanted to see it, where it really helped the movie. And then there's some stuff that's terrible, and then there's some ideas that like, what's the point of keep going back to a movie and changing it?
Yeah.
So I think every day I have a different feeling. It just depends on how I feel about it. Like having Greedo shoot first on Han Solo is probably the dumbest thing in the world. Obviously not the dumbest thing in the world, but it's pretty stupid. Like, I hated that. I think it changed his character. That guy says, Greedo says, maybe Jabba will take your ship. And he says, over my dead body. And then shoots the guy. Like, he just kills him. And then flips the bartender some money and says, sorry about the mess. Like, no F's given.
That was the original?
Yeah. And then they changed it to where Greedo shoots and it was like this awkward, because they moved his head digitally. He moves his head within a space of a table without getting shot, and then shoots second and kills him.
Okay.
But the fact that Han Solo was a guy who you threatened to steal his ship would murder you, but by the end of the movie comes back to help Luke Skywalker. Like, and then by the third movie is volunteering to lead like what could possibly be a suicide mission, giving that same ship, and we're getting really nerdy, I really love Star Wars, giving the same ship to Lando, that Lando could die and blow up his ship. Because that's how much he believed in the rebel cause. So over 3 movies, his character arc went from a guy who will murder you if you threaten to take a ship to a guy who is giving up everything to save the Rebel Alliance and all this. It's a character arc. When you change that, you change his character arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I always heard of that the who shot first like question, but I didn't know what they were referring to. I always thought I didn't know it was like a digitally corrected scene.
Yeah, it's really awkward. Like, they've redone it multiple times. It's like every time it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray or something like that, they've altered it to the point where it went on to Disney Plus. They changed it again. I think, obviously Disney is the one changing it, because I think Disney would just put it back. So George Lucas had one more edit of the movie before it went on to Disney Plus, I would assume. And it just doesn't the first, like, obviously, like, they took his head and moved it like that, like real quick. But it's like an old 1990, special effect. It's not from a movie that was made in the 70s.
Yeah.
So manipulated his body to move, and it's super awkward.
Yeah.
And how can he move? How does he dodge basically a laser blast over the space of a table?
He's Han Solo. That's how.
He's not Luke Skywalker.
What are your thoughts on the new Star Wars?
I mean, I'm wearing a BB-8 shirt. That's new Star Wars. There are things. It's like the same as all the other Star Wars. There's things I like. There's things that I don't like. But as a whole, I like them. They're not as good as the originals. They're better than the prequels. But that's just my opinion.
I didn't see them. I saw the first one,
yeah.
But I didn't like how they just started killing off the legacy characters. I didn't like that. I was like, why'd you take those cool characters?
I mean,
Luke's back.
You killed Han Solo, which I get. The Han Solo death was fine with me because it's set up like a character thing. I don't think they could have killed Luke. And then especially when like Carrie Fisher dies in real life, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But I feel like either the way they killed off Luke they shouldn't have, or they should have waited the 9th one. But then I think in real life when Carrie Fisher died, I think they shouldn't have killed Luke. The way it makes sense in some way, but also I didn't like what they did with Luke Skywalker in this.
He just like evaporated or something. I saw scenes.
I kind of feel like there was a lot as a kid when you watch Return of the Jedi, like as many times as I did. And if you ever saw Luke Skywalker again, you'd see him as like this great Jedi. And you never really, really got to see that as a real thing. And everything happened kind of off screen.
Yeah, I wish they had done that. I would if I had heard that they made him a total BA, it's like total like OG overpowered guy, like that he totally deserves it because he's been in solitude training or something. I would have probably watched I would have probably been more inclined to watch the rest.
At least give us one scene. You could do that whole like Karate Kid thing where Mr. Miyagi beats up all of Johnny and his friends.
Yeah.
Scene that you saw Mr. Miyagi, even as like an old man, was a badass. He knew what he could do. And like at least one time to see like Luke Skywalker as like this crazy, ridiculous Jedi badass that we never got to see would have been.
Yeah. That would have been sweet. That would have been sweet. I would have watched it if that was the case. Do you have any Star Wars action figures?
Yeah, I have a lot.
Like just the Funko dolls, or do you have like actual?
No, actual action figures. Yeah, I had a lot. I had a huge Star Wars collection at one point. Now it's a little bit smaller. I've got some original stuff. I've got the original Boba Fett figure I had from when I was a little kid.
Aren't those worth a lot?
I mean, it's so played with and all that, and I would never sell it.
There was like
They overproduce everything. So like the thing that really made the original Star Wars stuff worth something is that they sold it as like you basically bought a piece of cardboard with the pictures of it because they couldn't produce them in time. So they didn't produce a ton of the original Star Wars stuff. That's why it's worth money. Now, like everyone thinks anything with Star Wars on it at some point was worth something, but it's still like mass produced. It's not.
Yeah. What was it? I remember there was a Luke Skywalker that had like a bigger head or a small head action figure, and one was worth more. I used to be really into action figure collection and how like
there's a lot of weird stuff like that. There's something.
Yeah.
One toy has a plastic cape, and the other one has like a cloth cape.
Yeah. Then so not like the '90s Star Wars action figures before the prequels, like you could get like a Luke or Darth Vader, and one had like a small lightsaber or a long lightsaber, and depending on which lightsaber you had, like you got, determine like the value. Like it was like a misprint or whatever. It was interesting how that happened.
Yeah.
Do you have the AT-AT?
I did
Walker.
I don't as an adult.
Like, was it like the large one? Is
Yeah,
that
like
the AT-AT or is it the S? Which one's that? Which is which?
the
AT-ST's
big one.
the AT-AT?
Yeah,
What's it
ATS,
stand for?
all-terrain armored transport.
And
ATS,
what's the
all-terrain scout transport.
okay? All-terrain armored transport. I got to remember that to kind of drop those. And the all-terrain scout transport. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Cool. I think we're getting close to the end, but I have one last question I want to ask, Randall. What kernel of advice can you give to an artist, a person who needs some like guidance, be it young or old? What kind of advice can you give them? Doesn't have to be to pertain to art, but it could be like just like some like wisdom that you've acquired in your time on this earth.
I think that what I would say is probably what the theme of my art is, and that's to like follow your heart and chase your dreams. Because they're your dreams. No one's, my dream and your dream is different. I can't chase your dream, you know?
Yeah.
And I think for me, no matter what happens in my life, if I'm on my deathbed one day, I don't want to be like, what if I did this?
Yeah.
What if I actually pursued my art? You know what I mean? Like no matter what happens, I could sell art as a hobby. I could do it as my full-time job. I don't know what's going to happen. But I don't want to ever say I don't want to regret it. I don't want to be a what if.
Mm-hmm.
So I think whatever it is that you want out of life, you have to go for it.
Is that called like finding your why, or is that I think that there's a term for that.
Sense. I mean, it's kind of like knowing what your purpose is in life is.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, I remember always getting paper. I think my grandfather worked at an insurance company, and whatever paper they were going to throw away, he would take it. He
Yeah.
changed the lettering head and was going to throw away a ton of paper. So I remember always having paper with like a letterhead on top of it. And I would just draw for hours. The only thing I ever wanted to do was draw pictures. And one way or the other, that's kind of what I'm doing. So I think if you know what it is you want in life, whether it's like I'm saying, it doesn't even have to be what your career is. It could be what you do in your spare time. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to be the one to pursue it and not end up like being too afraid to do it. Like fortune favors the brave. I have a tattoo that just says courage, and on the bottom it says fortune favors the brave.
On your where do you have it on?
It's right. It's on the inside of my arm,
Uh-huh.
and it's more just to be like to remind myself. And I got it kind of when I was in the height of figuring out, I wanted to be an artist and all that. And it's just to remind myself that, no matter what happens, you have to have the courage to go after it.
Yeah.
And I know, like, and I've talked about it, I've made some mistakes along the way, and I think things ebb and flow, and it's all about, honestly, I'd rather sell a ton of paintings for too little money than not making the paintings and putting them out for the world to judge or whoever to judge, and just saying, damn, I wonder what it would have been like if I would have made some paintings. So I really think it's just like chase your dreams and follow your heart. You can't go, no matter what, I think you can't go wrong with that.
Was it like you ever seen that movie? What's that movie? But there's a scene where the guy gets a tattoo. It says "No Rugrats" or
no regrets.
No regrets.
All right. And he's like, so not even a letter's worth. The guy's like, my credo or something.
Oh, that was funny. Randall, where I'm shaking the camera when I hit the table like that. Where can we find you? Where can people find you?
You can find Randall Paints where Randall Paints are sold. My website is iamrandallpaints.com. Instagram, Randall Paints. Facebook is Randall Paints 1. That's pretty much, I mean, my Twitter is basically just be complaining about politics and how bad my football team is. I don't really there's nothing of value there for anyone.
It's the Falcons, right?
No, it's the Jaguars.
I had the Jaguars right behind me, right in the back of my head. Like, there's Falcons, Jaguars.
The Falcons.
That's how bad I am with names and football teams. So it's Jaguars.
Fan, I would have at least seen my team play in the Super Bowl. But I'm
What's
not.
That?
I said if I was a Falcons fan, I would at least see my team play in the Super Bowl.
That's probably the reason why I thought Falcons.
No.
They were recent, right?
I mean, a couple of years ago, but
yeah. Randall.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to me about
everything.
Just everything. Getting to know you, learn about your Funko collection, your Star Wars was it like, what do you call fanaticism or just Star Wars fan or
what you would call it. I mean, I've loved Star Wars for so long and so much. It's like my love of Star Wars is like part of my personality now.
Okay.
I don't it's beyond fanatic. It's part of my who I am and my personality and what I mean. It's like the biggest thing that's ever influenced me.
Being part of your being, right?
Yeah.
Randall, thank you. Really do appreciate it.
I had a blast.
Yeah, me too. Let me know whenever you have you need a shout out or if you want to do this again. This is fun. Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again. I feel like there's a lot that we could still talk about.
Yeah. Well, everyone that's been watching, I really do appreciate you watching the show. But we're gonna cut it today. I think 2 hours and 30 minutes is a good time to kind of take a break. But it was if you want to follow Randall, find him on all of those social medias and check out his website. He does some great work, and I really do appreciate your time. And again, Randall, thank you.
Yeah, Thomas, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.